Welcome back to the Father of the Man podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our history as humans. Are we descended from animals or something else? And what could that possibly mean for the future?
You had me at humans.
The man of independent mind. He looks and laughs at all.
Welcome back to the Father of the Man podcast. I am one of your hosts, Wade Johnson, and this is...
I am Derek Vachon.
Yeah.
I'm another host.
That's right. So today we're talking about animals and men and the differences thereof. Why are we talking about this?
Because it's important.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. He got it. So,
Nailed it.
Yeah, it kind of came up in our conversation about defining masculinity. We were kind of fleshing out this idea that obviously our take on it is that men are created in the image of God, and we are unique from the animal kingdom. And then we were kind of talking about looking at what a man isn't as a way to better understand what a man is.
That's right.
We threw out the idea that man is not an animal, man is not a woman, man is not a boy. And I think that is a pretty cool framework, or a useful framework for kind of looking at where different masculinity movements or different social pressures toward on masculinity, where they kind of push it in the wrong direction. So, so today we're going to hone in on the animal piece, because like he said, it's really important.
Yeah.
I
think it's important. Yeah. I'll flesh out why I think it's important.
Yeah.
Give you a little break.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're getting a little blue in the face.
I was really
there.
feeling it.
I
was like, oh, man.
It's important, I think, because I would argue that the entire question of existence is based on whether or not we are animals.
Okay.
If we are evolved, just highly evolved animals versus created beings, that changes everything about your perspective on all of existence.
Yeah.
Right? Like everything you approach in life is going to be through one of those two filters. I don't know that there's a third filter. I haven't heard of a third filter.
Like we're aliens or something?
I mean, I guess I've heard of that. Reptile people. Well, that's only the elites.
That'll be another podcast.
Yeah.
Reptilian elites.
But for today, yeah, I think generally speaking, I would say there's two worldviews. One of them is that we're created in some way or another.
Sure.
And then the other worldview is that we're not, that we evolved and completely devoid of any higher power forming us. So
yeah, totally.
I think wherever you land, that begs some serious questions. So that's kind of why we think it's important.
It does. Yeah. And I think, I don't know. I mean, who knows where this conversation will go? I surely don't. But my thought with this is not to necessarily, this isn't like an apologetics course on explaining, creationism versus evolutionism.
No.
It's more what we're looking at is we're presupposing a biblical worldview, and we're looking at if we are created in the image of God. Like if we're looking at the opposite of that, and we just evolved randomly, we are highly evolved animals, we are just apes. Then what are the implications of that for masculinity? Like what is a man? What is a man, and what is he to do? What is the fulfillment of man's purpose, if you can find purpose in being an ape? I don't know. But what does that look like? And where do we see, like in real time, like practically, like where do we see that going wrong?
Yeah.
And kind of how do we want to kind of speak against it, right?
Yeah. And where have we seen it going wrong? 'Cause there's been plenty of examples of that train of thought played out, that philosophy played out, and it doesn't end well.
Totally. So let's get into that. So what well, I guess that's the question. Where do we see it? Where do we see this idea that man is an animal going in and leading men in a errant direction? Do you want to start with that, or?
Well, I think it's kind of a broad.
Yeah. Okay.
But no. That's a good question.
Well, I'll throw one out.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, wait, you go.
No, I got nothing.
Okay. I sensed that. No, I'm just kidding. One that is glaring is the and the manosphere thing and the red pill thing, I think, are fairly ill-defined. I think I'm not sure exactly even what we're talking about when we say that. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know what people are hearing. But we'll just go with that. So to put a specific example on it, it'd be like Andrew Tate. Mm-hmm. So that whole movement toward being an alpha male, being a high value male is some of the things that they talk about. And I see it as a pendulum from the like effeminization of men, and that would be more of the like man is not a woman conversation, right? So it's almost like these guys have identified, okay, yeah, we're being feminized. Our culture is pushing us toward like saying that all masculinity is toxic, and to be specific, like any sort of male aggression, ambition, pursuit of strength, pursuit of power, pursuit of like
Anything manly.
yeah. Prowess and provision. But like the idea that these drives are inherently wrong, and we all just need to like smush them to smush them down.
Subsmush is definitely the word I was thinking.
Smush them down and kind of become what my brother Dwight would refer to as a neutered house pet.
Yeah.
Right. So I think them identifying that is wrong is good. So yeah, we're not a woman, right? So, and that could be a topic for another time. But then it's this pendulum all the way to, okay, so we're going to be like macho, hyper, quote unquote, hyper masculine, which again, I would think is ill defined, because I don't think it's too manly. I think it's too animally. And so we'll get into that. Cause so what do you think what are ways you see that going wrong?
Well, you see it going wrong with even like the sexual revolution that we're in, right?
Okay, yeah.
That is far more in line with the animal kingdom than it is with the sovereign kingdom of man over animals. Like,
yeah, okay,
like we're given right, we're given stewardship over animals, and we are given certain calls and responsibilities, and we have this higher power that has given us morality and given us a conscience and a sense of right and wrong. And basically, like, the sexual revolution has just been throwing all that out the window in favor of just giving into your base urges, right? Like, we're nothing but mammals, like they do on the Discovery Channel. Like,
yeah, I remember that song.
So, yeah, quite a song. But the idea is, like, that's very popular, and that's I mean, that's what you see on all the dating apps, and that's what you see all around on social media and everything. It's like, no, it's all about, and with that comes the degradation of family, and it comes the murdering of babies, and it comes like it basically flips from the act of procreating is an act of service, and it's an act of, raising children is an act of benefiting future generations, legacy, like we talked about. It takes it from that to, no, this is simply an act for myself. I will take what I want, and then I will leave. Yeah. And that's kind of the model that's been set up. And that's just one small example, but like in my mind, that's one of the bigger ones, right? Because then you get all manner of sexual degradation with it, because people begin to buy the lie that, we're just these animals. We should be given, as much pleasure as we can in this life and find it and seek it. So that is defined by, my sexual lifestyle. Like that's a huge, like, for a lot of people, that's literally their identity, is their sexual behaviors. Yeah, absolutely. So that's in all sorts of aberrant sexual behaviors, but in this one specifically, like manifesting it, it's interesting because there's the hookup culture piece of just the sexual pleasure, satisfaction, just find it wherever you can find it, with as many partners as you can find, and then there's also this interesting like twisting of the procreative imperative. Wow, look at these big words I'm using. But the idea cool that phrase. The idea that like separating procreation from like a one man, one woman, the nuclear family, like you're saying, like raising children up in this really healthy environment, to let's just I want to make as many humans as I can, because in this, again, animalistic way, you're like trying to propagate the species. So it's like you're like acting like a mosquito, I guess. And you're like, I'm gonna have like 4,000 of them, and if like half of them die, it's fine because I still have 2,000, right? Like it's kind of this like, I think that's a small subset of the people that are into that life. Yeah, what I mean? Like, most that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's why, like, the Andrew Tate, like, super, this, like, like, we're focusing on that extreme, because you're right, it is a small subset. I don't think that's, like, super popular. Yeah. But I think it was at least growing traction. I don't know. But, and what's interesting is, just to tie it back to, like, animal behaviors, like, that is definitely an animal behavior. Yeah. Like, you see that all over the animal kingdom. And I guess the question is, if we are just animals, why not? Why wouldn't we do that? Why isn't that a bad idea? Like, I think Andrew Tate, if we're just highly evolved animals and we're totally wrong about God and existence itself, then heck yeah, man, you're doing great. Totally, because it's all about you, right? It's all about you and your pleasure and your status, like, and they've identified these, like, dominance hierarchies or whatever. Right. Which, again, whatever. I mean, I think that there's some value to it. Yeah, those are
real things that exist. But their takeaway is like, I'm going to maximize my status and power and everything for myself, for my pleasure, for my name, my own glory, all that, right? So and then even any foresight, any thought of legacy or any thought of like a higher purpose than yourself is basically just like go team human, I guess. Like it's kind of this like, since we're we're humans, we want and we're going with this like evolutionary survival of the fittest mentality. It's like, yeah, we just want to dominate and take over and make sure that humans are doing well, I guess. Right? I guess. I
don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a lot to understand in it. Like I think it's a pretty hollow philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we are animals, but we're highly evolved, so we've created morality for ourselves,
right?
Which becomes super subjective,
right?
Because who's to say that someone on the other side of the world isn't just as right as I am,
right,
in their decision to murder as my decision not to murder? Like it, and we do that here too, by the way.
Yeah.
But like, it's just so arbitrary and subjective.
Yeah.
To say all humanity is united in this morality because of our evolved state, and so therefore we have an obligation to help each other thrive. Like it just doesn't add up.
Yeah. But again, it only it doesn't answer any additional whys, right? Like it's like why? Okay, so like that humans can exist. Okay, why? like why should humans exist?
Why should society thrive? Like it's like,
yeah.
Okay. Well, and then, which is interesting because then you start getting into all these contradictions.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, society should thrive. We should help each other out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, that completely throws survival of the fittest out the window because you shouldn't help anybody in the animal kingdom.
Right.
Like they're not helping each other.
Because they could take from you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like anything that could be a threat or that would be a drain on your resources, you get rid of, unless it's your own bloodline. Like even lions will go and kill the alpha male of another pride.
Right.
And then they'll kill all of his cubs because it's not his bloodline and it's a potential threat later on. So he'll kill those cubs and start fresh with that lion's lady.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, according to like nature, that's how it works. That's how the world operates. So why wouldn't the laws of nature apply in that sense to us?
Right.
You know, like, and thank God they don't.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a really good point. It's interesting because I think that the positive side, if there is one, of that movement is identifying, all right, men are created to be strong. Men are created to be leaders. Men are created to be go-getters, like, you know, creators. We are intended for strength and power and purpose, right? And I think that that's right. Like the question is like, what is our strength for? What is that purpose of that strength? Like, so if we're gonna, because like you look at like dudes like, okay, so again, Andrew Tate's a fun, he's a big name, I guess, that people recognize, so that's an easy one to point to,
which is weird.
But yeah, I know, whatever. But it is weird, but at the same time, I do kind of get it because it's this. I could see how young men without good father figures and without a understanding of healthy masculinity, like looking to these guys and being like, yeah, that's more like it, right? Because he does speak his mind, because he is bold to say what he thinks is true, because he does not pull any punches, and he's really like he just says stuff that's like, like, this is how it is, and that confidence is
in the face of
appealing.
Something. It's in the face of something that men have been degraded in Western culture for a long time now.
Well, and in a world where everybody's afraid to make truth claims, right? Because it's all so subjective, and everybody's so like. It's so hypersensitive. And this whole like, we can't offend anybody, and we have to be super politically correct, and like in the face of that like closing in, and that weakening of just being able to say something you think is true, like him just being bold is appealing on a masculine level, on a base level. Like I get that, like the boldness is appealing, the courage is appealing, and like the he's doing he's making a lot of money now. How he made his money is terrible, but
is it?
It is, it is. But the financial success is, I get why guys are like, he's going out there and he's getting his own kind of like he's making moves and doing stuff, and okay, cool, fine. Like wanting to do well is good. Okay, financially is fine. Like great. But and then also he's like, I think he has like a background as like a lot of these guys are very physically fit. Okay,
was he like a fighter or something?
He fought somebody at some point.
This episode is sponsored by coffee.
Yeah, coffee break. All right, so we had a quick coffee break, Cheers. But we were talking about the appeal of the alpha male manosphere Andrew Tate vibe. And so we were talking about how like physical strength is also good and appealing and masculine. You know, men are physically stronger, bigger than women. And so the idea of maximizing that is obviously appealing and good. But again, it all comes down to what end, right?
Right.
So where it goes wrong, I think, is going wrong in an animalistic way, right? Because it's to increase your appeal to the opposite sex for just procreative / pleasure purposes,
right?
And then it's also, I guess, to physically intimidate other men in a very like silverback gorilla type way.
I like doing that, you know me.
Oh yeah, dude, I do it all the time.
Scary.
I'm always like, you know,
I'm like, don't make me take these glasses off.
yeah, totally. So that's one way. I think I think that is a pretty accurate critique of their position, is to be like, hey, I think that these guys are encouraging you to act like animals and not like actual men.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my take on it.
What's interesting on the procreative side of things is animals obviously have a very strong biological imperative to go and reproduce.
Sure.
We are given an order, right? Like a God-given, hey, be fruitful, multiply. Like that's part of our imperative as men. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because they're not wrong in the idea that we should be creating life and we should be propagating the species and we should be continuing life. But like you said, like that's not wrong.
No.
But like to what end? Like where are we going with this? And why should it matter if society thrives for the rest of, time, or if mankind got totally wiped out and other animals took over? Like what would be? These are the questions that it kind of in my mind is what it leads to. Maybe I'm just a simpleton, but like in my mind, I'm like, okay, if you believe that, I feel like the ultimate end to that gets pretty horrific pretty quick, right? Like we were talking earlier about eugenics, and forced sterilization on subadequate people groups, and
as far as like optimizing the human genome or DNA and like trying to like optimize the species, basically.
The Austrian dudes tried that.
Yeah.
With his little mustache, and he went out there and he was like,
which Austrian with the mustache?
I think his name was Hitler.
Oh.
Adolf.
Yeah.
But he tried. I mean, that was his whole thing, right? He's like, get rid of anyone who's mentally handicapped, get rid of, minorities, get rid of Jews, especially. But he wasn't just like the history books are primarily focused on his hatred of the Jewish people, but he was against anybody that wasn't of the Aryan bloodline because it was pure and good. And he made laws, like there were some crazy abortion laws forced on Jewish women specifically.
Sure.
Aryan or white folks were not allowed to reproduce with Jews. And if they got caught sleeping with them, they would be like punished with prison time. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was all with the idea of breeding the perfect race.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, that's just a large scale version of what lions do.
Yeah.
And is that bad? And obviously it is bad. It's horrible.
But if you have a worldview of we are animals, then why is it bad? I guess would be the question, right?
And that's my question.
How would
I genuinely want to know, because I haven't heard a satisfactory answer, right?
Yeah.
I've heard that, it's good to keep society thriving. And they're like, you can't thrive if you're also preaching the idea that life is ultimately meaningless.
Well, and define thriving and what society, because that's what Hitler was literally doing, was making his version
society
of what he thought society should be thrive, right?
Right.
I don't know. And if you're going to eliminate physical weakness and optimize for IQ and genetics and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Tesla was all about that.
How is that not helping society thrive? Wouldn't it be better if we were all way smarter and healthier and
that's
and whatever?
Brave New World, right?
Yeah.
That is 100% Brave New World.
Exactly.
Except they find a place for the marginalized by creating the marginalized to serve the superior.
So for those who haven't read Brave New World, you should read it because it's very interesting. It's very disturbing. And it's in my opinion, Brave New World. So Brave New World is a dystopian novel by Aldous Huxley, and it's quite famous, and you've probably heard of it. And now you've for sure heard of it because I just said it 2 seconds ago.
Shame on you if you forgot.
Right. It was very recent. So it's often held up there with 1984, which is also very the like arguably the most famous dystopian novel of all time, at least in our time.
Arguably.
Yeah, arguably. But Brave New World to me is like, it's just way more disturbing, and that's subjective. That's just my take.
Well, I think it feels way more realistic because it's focused on human pleasure and like the human tendency toward fulfilling their own desires above others.
Yeah, well, and the removal of the isolation of pleasure away from any sort of actual deep soul joy, right? Like they take the soul completely out of it, and this dystopian society basically removes the humanity out of the spirit out of man and is focused entirely on what we're talking about.
Well, the pleasure is the end game and not the
right.
Not the consequence of the pleasure.
Right, exactly. And so it's a super interesting study in basically pulling apart and isolating different facets of what it means to be human, and in doing so, basically destroying the beauty of what a human is, which is body, mind, and spirit. We are physical beings, but we are also spiritual, eternal beings, and that's the mystery and the beauty of life and humankind. And so that book is a really interesting study of that and how dark that gets, how quickly that gets dark.
Yeah.
And anyway. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right that animalistic focus, just the removal of the human soul, really, like it's you're not acknowledging that we are more than just this flesh and blood, and that we are here for a purpose. And so coming back to that Imago Dei, image of God, like be created as sub-creators and given dominion over the world, over the rest of creation, is just so radically different from being another animal fighting for dominance. Right.
Totally. 100%.
Yeah.
And it actually makes way more sense. It's like we've been talking about The Everlasting Man by G.K. Chesterton. It's a phenomenal book.
Yeah.
You just started into it and you're loving it so far.
Dude, I've read like 4 pages and quick plug, shout out to G.K. Chesterton. That guy,
not a sponsor.
Not only is he just intellectually just a brilliant, and he conveys also not a sponsor. Sorry, I just caught that.
It's okay. You're on a
really
thought.
Funny. He's not alive. But when he was, man, that guy could write. He not only was he just brilliant, but the way he writes is just so amusing. Like he's hilarious.
Yeah,
he's very funny. And so anyway, highly recommend.
So The Everlasting Man, he talks about the first half of the book is talking about how he believes that we're not just pagans created and like that just evolved to nothingness. He thinks that there's a purpose. And then the second half of the book is why he believes that Christ is different from all other messianic types.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about it is he makes a very good argument that I can't make right now because I don't have it memorized.
Just do it.
I don't have it memorized. He makes this really cool argument though that he's like, when you start putting the pieces together, it starts to make way more sense.
Yeah.
Like as far as the idea that we're created for a purpose and that we are in the image of God and that we are given stewardship and that we're not just brothers and sisters to the apes and the giraffes. There's something more to it. And he kind of zooms out and shows you his take on it, and actually it's really cool.
Yeah,
and it makes more sense.
Well, so there you go. So if you want like an actual really well thought out breakdown of the topic of like actually kind of proof for and apologetic for why we aren't animals, that would be a great resource.
Read that.
Read The Everlasting Man by G.K. Chesterton. That's probably above our pay grade to try and translate that for you, but
it is above my pay grade for sure.
It's gnarly. It's really good.
I read every 5 pages, I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, it's very good. So that's super helpful. But I think on a practical note, as we're living our daily lives and walking around and talking about masculinity and being men, and making decisions and how framing how we should live our lives and all that. I think when we're presented with these different, when you're listening to anybody talk about masculinity, or you're being encouraged to man up or behave like a man, or you're kind of being stirred up. There's lots of videos and influencers and people out there saying all sorts of things. I think one good litmus test is to look at, hey, is this referencing a actual human man with a soul, or is this referencing an ape? Like who does this person think I am?
Yeah.
If they're telling me to be a man, okay, Great.
Based on what credentials?
Yeah. What man?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like, what do you define as a man? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's an important question to ask. And I think that, like we said, some of the ways that the animal conversation goes awry, are in these, again, good things, but without the understanding that we are sub-creators, without understanding that we are given dominion over the earth to steward it, not to dominate it. And we've talked on the podcast plenty, and we'll continue to talk about it a lot because it's going to come up all the time in the masculinity conversation. But the difference between domination and dominion that you brought up is a really key distinction, and it's a really, I think, a big dividing line in that conversation is that you see animals dominating, you see humans, when they're acting in accordance with God's word, taking dominion and cultivating a relationship with nature and cultivating a relationship with what they're ruling over, and not just subjugating it for their own pleasure, their own purpose, their own ego.
Right.
I don't know.
What's the quote about Saruman being?
Oh yeah, in Lord of the Rings, Saruman.
He was a wizard who was, the white. Saruman the White.
Yeah, the head of the order.
He was the head of the wizard order, and he was for good, and then he turned evil, and he became, because he was friends with nature, friends with the trees, all this stuff, and then he became, what was the quote? A man of metal and wheels.
Yeah,
or something like
he had a mind of metal and wheels.
Yeah, he had a mind of metal and wheels, and essentially he was basically committing the rape of nature, I guess.
Yeah.
As Dr. Ian Malcolm would say in Jurassic Park.
Wow. We're referencing so many things.
Well, but seriously though,
yeah, totally.
He is a great example if you're familiar with the Lord of the Rings movies or books.
Yeah.
Either way, that's his whole thing, right?
Yeah.
He's an example of what could have been a good steward turned evil, and now he's taking everything for himself.
Right.
And it's all about him and his glory and his kingdom rather than service to others.
Yeah.
And that we've been throwing around the word purpose a lot today. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about this earlier, because a lot of people will say, even like really solid philosophers will be like, like secular philosophers will be like, purpose can be created, and purpose can be manufactured. And generally, from what I've heard, and there could be way more to there is way more. I guarantee there's more to this. But what I've heard and gleaned from these secular philosophers is that purpose is derived from service to others.
Yeah,
which is true, except that the end goal is still, hey, you need to find purpose for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. So you need to find purpose so that you're not miserable. And it's true. Again, that's a side effect of finding purpose, but it's not the purpose of finding purpose. Does that make sense? Does that?
Yeah, mostly.
So what I'm saying is, I believe purpose is innately built into us. That God has created purpose for us.
Yeah,
and we are to walk in that. Stewardship is purpose.
Yeah.
But I think, from a secular worldview, people still find, like the common grace, they still find that when they serve others, they find joy and they find a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning. My question is, are they creating a sense of meaning, or are they just tapping into something that was already created for them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with much thought at all, I think it's really apparent. I love the distinction you're drawing between what our purpose is and where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I think that it is somewhat circular logic to say, I found purpose in this, and that's what my purpose comes from, because you're saying, no, that's what your purpose is, not where it comes from. Like it doesn't self-propagate. I guess what I'm saying is if you ask the question, okay, so if our purpose is service to others, if we're going with that, then like, did service to others tell you that? Like, in other words, like, why is it?
Yeah.
Why is service to others our purpose? And we have an answer to that, I feel like, with a biblical worldview, going, all right, like, because God created us and He set it up that way.
Yeah.
And I think because ultimately because we could go even deeper than service to others and go, because that glorifies God, and because it's a representation of the fellowship that we can have with Him, right? So it's like, it's connected to our glorifying God, it's connected to our enjoying God, is our service to others and our enjoyment of others, right? Our communion with others, right?
Yeah. And it's also connected to stewardship of the earth itself, right? Like when society thrives together, things go better generally.
Yeah.
So, and I could see where on the secular side, that's where your argument would be. Yeah, this is why we serve others.
Right.
This is why we need humanity.
Well, they see that it's better. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're just seeing the evidence of something that's already been there for forever.
Right. So
but I think the idea is, hey, we're creating purpose for ourselves in doing these things. And it's like, no, the purpose has always been there. You're just stepping on to that treadmill.
yeah. No, you're they're finding something that exists that's true. They're not identifying why it's true, I guess, right? Like,
or why it matters.
But to the extent that they're finding that it's true and walking in it, they reap some rewards accordingly because it is true.
It's like we always talk about, like with the Proverbs, like you can be a total atheist and still follow the wisdom of the Proverbs and find yourself more successful than you were before you read it. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
But again, I think the ultimate end question is, to what end and for whom? Like, is it for yourself? Is it really so that your kingdom will thrive the most? Is it really so that your kingdom will come?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And I think that pretty quickly fades, and gets distorted.
And what a benefit to be able to, like, I think that's one of the greatest joys of Christianity is understanding, like, no, we've just been given something to steward. So we have a responsibility to God for it. We don't have a responsibility to ourselves to, like, make this, you know what I mean? Like, it just becomes, I imagine it's way more stressful. And that's where you get, like, midlife crises and things like that. Because you're like, oh, what have I done? Like, rather than just like, nope, God has given me something. I'm going to do my best with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, so it's interesting. I think it's, as we've been going down this delightful rabbit hole of overthinking masculinity, I think that the one of the things that keeps coming back around, and I think will end up being a pretty consistent theme, is this idea that it is good to, not only is masculinity given to us by definition because we were born a human male, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, and again, even looking at the breakdown of we're not a woman, not an animal, not a boy. You're looking at, if you look at like an adult human male, it's like that's the three things like that you're not, right? Because you're an adult, you're not a boy. You're a human, you're not an animal. You're a male, you're not a female. Right? Right. So it's kind of like it's kind of inherent in the definition. That's why it's an interesting thing. I think that's why it's an accurate thing to look at like the opposites of those words, or at least the counterbalances to those words. Because I wouldn't say that women are the opposite of men, but anyway. And the boy is certainly not an opposite of a man. But it's
the father of the man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The boy is the father of the man.
A sponsor
podcast title. So that said, I said a lot of things just now, and I don't know where I was going with it.
I don't either. If it makes you feel any better.
I'm sorry. No. Here's what it is. So in even in fleshing all this out, as we look at what defining what masculinity is, and it's something that is given to us by the fact that we were created as a male and a human male, and then there's also something that we cultivate, i.e. like we go from boy to man, right? Like if there's a maturation, a growth, a cultivation of that maturity and growing into a man, not a boy, right? So with that, as we're looking at growing it, I think it's just it's really I don't know where I'm going, man. I had it.
There's no rush.
I was so close.
I'm in no hurry to hear this thought.
There was so much leading up to this. It was going to be earth-shattering.
Dang it, man.
I got it. I'm back now, guys.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see.
A lot of lead up.
Take 3. With all of that, I think we can identify the cultivation of these strengths that the more animalistic focused worldviews tout as good. So what I mean by that is being someone who females find attractive, because you do want to find a spouse, right? Like that's fine. Like that's good, right? Like that's something you want to cultivate. You don't want to be this mousy guy in your parents' basement that no girl would ever take a second look at, right? You don't want that. You don't.
No. Shouldn't want that.
Yeah, you shouldn't want that. So, but there's a purpose. Marriage, like children, life, this is good stuff. And then you have developing physical strength, developing financial prowess or whatever. You have these things that are good things, but this is what all of this preface is getting to, man.
I'm so ready.
Are you ready? It always keeps coming back around to power is for service, right? Like
duh.
What?
Just kidding. Sorry, power is for service.
Dude, I got so sweaty over that.
That's good.
But it's that idea that like the cultivation of strength is good. The cultivation of masculinity is good. The cultivation of and growth in power even can be good. I think that there's a reason why we want that. There is a good reason why we want that.
You can't steward properly without power.
Yeah, exactly. You can't govern. You can't have dominion over something that you aren't to some extent, quote unquote, over. Right? Like you have to grow in your ability to govern, but the purpose of it is service and sacrifice. So, so the purpose of power is sacrifice. That's what I'm trying to boil all this around to. Is cultivation of power can be good when and this is when and only when the purpose of it is to sacrifice.
Right, because men generally are focused on the cultivation of power either way.
Yeah,
one is from the animal worldview, and one's from the Christian perspective.
Absolutely,
I would think. I agree with you.
Yeah, so it's either to dominate. We're coming back around to this. It's either to dominate or it's to serve.
Right.
Like it's either to bless or to bring into subjugation and make it about you. So it's either about God or it's about you, and that's where that's whether it's good or not.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's the difference between hey, you're slowing us down,
right,
and like hey, you're slowing us down. Everybody huddle around, and we're gonna carry this guy, or what? You know what I mean? Like it's the servant leadership of allowing for those things rather than seeing them as impediments to your own personal gain or glory.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And to bring it even literally closer to home, like looking at raising your kids, right? Raising your sons, raising your daughters. There's I think any father listening could think like a million examples of like there's like a million reasons why you would be impatient with your kids, right? Like kids are can be very stressful and trying, especially to an adult guy trying to get things done.
Yeah.
And there's so many times that I want to, and I have been like, no, I'm not gonna slow down enough to teach you this. I'm not going to slow down enough to do it with you. I'm going to just get this done because I need to get this done. And there's times that's appropriate, obviously.
Yes.
Sometimes you do have to get stuff done. But instead looking for those opportunities to be like, no. Like a huge part of why I'm here is to train you, is to serve you, and is to build you up. So it's not about getting the lawn mowed or getting the I don't have a lawn right now. I have a giant mud pit.
I think I saw a couple sprouts of grass in there.
Thanks. So
tis the season.
It's not about mowing your mud. Okay. No, it's not about getting whatever the task is done as much as it is doing it with them and taking the time and cultivating them. Like growing kids is more important than growing grass. How's that for a quote?
Well, and even as dumb as an example as that is, but even like the grass thing, right? It's like, it needs to be done, but also more importantly, he needs to be taught so that when he grows up, he can do that. Like we learned from you learned from your dad probably, or Dwight or whoever.
Yeah, somebody taught me to.
You know how to do it.
Somebody taught me how to mow a lawn.
Yeah, same here.
That's why I don't have one. Yeah.
But yeah, it comes down to there's even purpose to that. It beyond. Sure. I mean, there's practical sides of it, right? Like it does need to happen for practical reasons as well as spiritual reasons, and
so as we're looking at like passing on masculinity to our sons or raising them up in growing in these things, I think it's if you have more of a the animalistic erring would be, I think, would manifest itself like selfishness, right? It'd be like, this kid is in my way, so I'm going to, and I think that's where these people go with it, is it's like, I'm going to make a bunch of kids, but I'm not going to like actually raise them. I'm not going to invest in them. I'm not going to spiritually lead them. I'm not going to even lead them physically. I'm just going to make them and they'll figure it out, right? Survival of the fittest.
Right, just send out humans.
Right, as opposed to like, no, I'm going to stick with one woman and cultivate that relationship. Right. I'm going to have the kids I have that God blesses me with, and I'm going to cultivate those relationships. And I think that cultivation piece is a spiritual piece that is missing when you look at just propagation of a species.
And even that, man, like, because we have that side of it, we also have the side of it of like, you're built to have sex. So go do it as much as you can. You deserve this. You earned it, and
thanks,
then,
man, I will.
And then, sorry. And then it's like, but then this is where it gets dark. So
yeah. Okay. Dark warning.
Oh, by the way, that kid that you accidentally just created by doing the very thing that creates kids.
Yeah.
The existence of that kid is a threat to your empire, so kill it.
Yeah.
Go convince your girl or convince that random secretary that you hooked up with to go get an abortion. Pay for it. Buy her flowers. Make whatever you can. Make it happen that kid does not exist.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate end of the animalistic mindset.
Yeah, and it's interesting because for an animal, so this is interesting. This is another way we're different from the animals, right? Because for an animal to do that is nature. For us to do that is evil. Right? Because we do know better. Whether we have a fleshed out, studied Christian worldview or not, people know better.
Yes.
And that's why
and even animals, yes, there are examples of animals sometimes killing their young, you know, and it's like that's not the norm. Like that's not normally how animals operate. Sure. Like,
well, it depends on the species, I think, somewhat.
Well,
if they all always did it, they wouldn't.
But what
exist,
I'm saying is, we Westerners, let's say, we murder far more babies than Stalin ever murdered, like adults. Yes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's been going on for a long time, and it's become an accepted normal practice as if that's part of like the human experience. And it's like that's the exact opposite of the human experience, especially when you're combining that with evolutionary thought. It's like, well, survival of the fittest. This baby's going to be an impediment to me. But also, we're animals, so we need to reproduce. So what do we do with that, you know? And that's why it makes way more sense that, we do have an imperative to reproduce for the purpose of actually bringing these kids up and not just shutting them down.
Well, it's a misunderstanding. The animal perspective is a misunderstanding of what it is you're creating when you are creating what God's creating through you when you're creating a human life, right? Because it's like, am I creating this mass of cells that I get to determine like how useful it is to the world, or am I creating being like collaborating with God to create an eternal human soul that requires discipleship and edification and teaching and emotional things,
whatever
emotions or whatever. No, but like, is it like, what exactly are we making here when we're making a baby?
Yeah.
Right. Like, because if you think it's just another ape, then make a bunch of apes and hopefully they'll all figure it out. But that's clearly not what's happening. And even people who espouse this worldview in their heart, they do know better. And even, I'm just saying, it's like you were saying earlier, when you're reading The Everlasting Man by G.K. Chesterton, not a sponsor, it does make way more sense of even what we observe in our daily life, right? Like understanding like the fact that there is a eternity, the fact that there is a human soul, the fact that there is more than just this matter. We are more than just this crude matter or whatever. I think Yoda says something like that.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. So the fact that we're more than that, that makes sense of our reality way better because we all feel that. Like, we all know that. And I think even so-called atheistic societies still govern themselves and still move toward, in many ways, these truths because they can't not. Because if they were to actually live out their worldview, the world would be even more insane.
And that's it, dude. Like, and that's why, like, I think about, like, hope and purpose and all these, like, themes that go along with this. I'm just saying, like, the stripped-down version of, like, if you really, from my perspective, if you just look at, do you believe in a creator or do you not?
Yeah.
The end result is going to be really drastically different from, the two end results.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like, I'm kind of happy to see that I feel like this evolutionary biology stuff is starting to lose ground.
Yeah.
Because people are saying like, even, secular people or just religious people that aren't, Christian, they're still saying like, there's got to be something more. Or even like, guys like Rogan talking about the Big Bang Theory and being like, that doesn't even make sense. Like that sounds like a miracle in itself. So how do we explain this stuff?
That's
like,
clearly mystical. So
I definitely I don't espouse the idea that anybody that's not a Christian is automatically this foolish animal.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying like
there's
But you can see in our own time even like where these thoughts have gone,
Sure.
and where
Yeah, well, and we're looking at the philosophy of it all because I mean, like, I mean, you and I aren't like scientists, and we're not sitting here debating creationism versus evolutionism versus like theistic evolutionism versus is it a 6-day creation? Blah blah blah. This isn't even what we're talking about. That's all a conversation that's ongoing and whatever. But ultimately, it's the philosophical implications of are we created with a purpose or is this random? Right? Like it's those big philosophical questions of like. Again, are we an animal by nature that is only matter, or are we created in the image of God through evolution or otherwise? Because I don't even want to have that debate, honestly. Like whatever. People are going to have their opinions on that, and there's a whole scientific argument raging on for ages, and that's all very interesting to me. But I'm not qualified to even speak about it. What I'm saying is either. If you think you're an animal that has serious implications on how you live your life philosophically, like what are you doing?
Well, it does, at least from my perspective. I haven't heard a satisfactory like reason for it, and maybe that's just because I haven't looked hard enough. But like I would wonder. I'd be curious to know people who don't believe in the Christian God. Like, if you do believe in purely evolution, like where does hope come from, and like where does your train of thought go? Like. Because in my mind, that just gets very bleak. Like before I was a Christian, I felt pretty darn bleak. Yeah. You know, it was just kind of like, didn't really feel there was any purpose. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's hard to, especially if you're a person who asks why, right? Like if you're somebody who is bent toward asking these philosophical questions of like, so why, like, where does our purpose come from? And I think every human has that in them. I don't think we're unique in asking these questions, but I'm just saying.
I think people have been pretty well buried with Soma, you know, in the last, especially in the West, right? Soma from Brave New World. It's like a miracle drug that makes you.
Yeah. Well, that's worth fleshing out. So, in Brave New World, Soma is essentially it's described as essentially like alcohol without the side effects, right? So it's the idea of like it just creates a state of bliss, but you don't have a hangover. And it's a fictional drug that they made up to basically just. I think it's a very strong allegory for a lot of things. Analogy is a better word for a lot of things that we use to just basically medicate yourself and put yourself in a state of.
Bread and circuses.
Yeah, bread and circuses. Put yourself in a state of pleasure and distraction.
Yeah. And then anytime you do start to ask those deep hitting questions, you take some more of that Soma and you're feeling good.
Take another hit.
And I think that's where and I don't want to talk about this the whole time, but like with the Christian church, the modern Western Christian church and how they approach topics like abortion. Yeah. It's mind-blowing. Yeah. Because it is a major travesty. It's this crazy mass genocide that's been happening for decades in our very towns that we live in. And I think we've just been so numbed with whatever it is, the Soma of our time, that it's just kind of
I mean, we can list things. I think everybody knows what it... I think any guy listening can think of what that would be. Like, what's the Soma in your life? Yeah. I think it's, there's tons of things guys turn to, any form of entertainment, TV, media, whatever, even books, anything you're using to distract yourself, alcohol, drugs, porn, like any of it, like all of that stuff is what Soma is an allegory for, right? It's that idea that you're just checking out.
Well, it gets you to stop thinking.
Yeah, exactly. I think abortion. You bringing up abortion is very on topic for this whole discussion because and again, I think that's kind of at the core of that whole thing is whether you believe you're ending a human soul or whether you believe you're dispatching a clump of cells, right? Right. Like that really is the crux of the issue. And then of course there's fringe groups that know they're killing a human or think they're killing a human soul and are okay with it anyway, and that's just straight up evil. So I mean, there's all kinds of people out there, but I think the big dividing line is essentially what you think is. Like, are we animals or not? Is this a clump of cells or is it a soul? Like, what is going on
and
here?
Where, if it isn't a soul, where does a clump of cells suddenly develop worth?
Yeah, absolutely.
And is it in how much we can contribute to society?
Yeah, exactly.
The same people might also say that it's our obligation to hand out food stamps and everything else to people who don't want to work. So
right. Yeah.
You would ask, well, where's their worth?
yeah. There's a lot of conflicting problems there, but I think as far as the whole back to the masculinity, like what you believe a man is thing, I think that is absolutely on topic of how it changes. One, how you view all these topics, the accumulation of power, what's power for, the purpose of sexuality, like what is sex for?
Right.
Yes, for pleasure and for procreation, but in what context? In the context of just propagating species, or is it in the context of creating human life and understanding that it has eternal ramifications, that has
Right.
these deep deep level, like that's a really, you're part of this incredible miracle of creation of a human soul, and then you're also responsible now for the cultivation of that human soul, like as a father, right? And so getting back to what it means to even be a father and be a man, I think all these things are really inextricably linked with that, right? Like are we accumulating power for our glory or for God's? Are we accumulating power for our power, our domination, or for sacrifice? Are we engaging in sex to create human life with the end goal of cultivating it and glorifying God and how we steward it? Or are we creating it just willy-nilly, like we're just trying to be mosquitoes or whatever? And then can we end the life we've created because it doesn't really matter because it's a clump of cells? Or is it really important and we should never do that? And regardless of its value to society, we want to invest in it and cultivate it and sacrifice our own lives for it. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to speak, since we got right there?
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to? I know you were kind of sharing a little bit personally of like with your brother Ryder. I don't know. Do you want to share that?
Yeah. So I have a brother who's 16 now, and he's got Down syndrome.
And he's the man.
He's awesome.
Love that guy.
He's hilarious, and he's really, really into bird watching, and he's super good at it. Like he can, like, you can take him out into the woods and he'll point out all the different birds and tell you exactly what they are. And I'll be like, yeah, sure, buddy. And I'll like Google it, and it's sure enough,
right.
exactly what.
So awesome.
Yeah. He's got like a whole photo. Anyway, clearly, according to like societal standards, he doesn't provide much. He doesn't bring much to the table as far as like productivity, I guess, or like creating value.
Like monetary value, I guess.
That kind of thing, yeah. And part of that is because he's 16 too. But like,
sure, I didn't when I was 16.
But the main thing is probably the glaring reason for that is probably that he has Down syndrome.
Sure,
I would say.
Yeah, it seems relevant. It does.
He's a precious soul created in the image of God, and he loves the Lord. In fact, every person that he meets, his first question is, "Do you know Jesus?"
Yeah,
awesome.
He has encouraged me in my faith. So like every single time I see him,
yeah,
you know, and it's and the amount of it's interesting because like you're saying, the lack of, you know, productivity on these measures, materialistic measures. It's like, dude, like on the soul level,
yes,
like on the eternal level, on the thing that actually matters most, like on the glorifying God and encouraging other people to have a relationship with him. Like he has been one of the most valuable people in my life.
Oh yeah,
encouraging me in my faith, and like and it's wild because it's like, dude, again,
you want to talk
how
about
do you measure value?
Yeah, you want to talk about like Chesterton being like, this is why I think the Christian worldview makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because, if you're just talking about value measures, okay, this guy has Down syndrome.
Yeah.
98% of children, when it's discovered in the womb they have Down syndrome, they're aborted. That's why you hardly ever see people with Down syndrome.
Right.
It's a fairly common thing that people they're told this is an inconvenience to your kingdom. This will only be a drain on society. You know, guys like Nikola Tesla wanted to completely eradicate them from the face of the earth, like Hitler did too. But in the secular humanistic sense, it's like, no value there. And people will say like, well, they're really happy. It's really nice hanging out with them because they're just happy.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the freaking joy of the Lord, man. Like,
it's way deeper than that. That's the language people use, but they are being impacted on a level they don't understand
it. Yeah, but it does provide value even to the secular man. Like I have coworkers that have met my brother and they're like, dude, I love Ryder. When is he coming back? Like I want to see him again. And you're like, why? He's just a 16-year-old boy.
Right.
But something about him, you know?
Right.
And so, like you said, the value is in his calling us to a higher faith, and his like encouragement to us without even knowing it. Like that's just what he's about. And so you can see God's system is like, no, he has a purpose and a plan for every human soul he creates.
That's right.
Including those who are not high producers. You know what I mean?
Like, or deemed materially insufficient in some way.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's because we're way more than matter.
Right. And it's interesting because not only kids with Down syndrome, but just kids in general are far and wide aborted more than ever.
Yeah.
Because of, he's born into a poor demographic, so he's just going to be a drain on the family, and he's going to be poor his whole life. Or, you know, and like, there's so many different reasons. But particularly the Down syndrome thing is just crazy because that's the idea. It's the animalistic idea is oh, this is a threat to my pride. So out you go.
Well, to my pride and to my
pride meaning like group of
like
animals.
a group of lions.
Like a lion. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's both. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Well, that too.
But yeah, you're right. I think that's a good distinction, though. It's your little kingdom, right? Your little.
And it's asking the question again, like you've mentioned several times. Like, are kids for us or are we for them?
Yeah.
Like, are they an accessory that we just add to our life, or do they become the focus of our life? Right.
Yeah.
And
it's a part of our purpose.
And certainly, having a kid with Down syndrome, if your goal is accessorizing, that's not an easy accessory.
No, it's not.
It's a cute accessory and a really joyful accessory.
Sure.
But dang, like raising Ryder has been no picnic for my mom and dad. Like,
man, I can't imagine.
Like, it's a lot of work, and it's a constant labor of love. But they weren't accessorizing when they had him.
Yeah.
You know, when my mom, I was actually with her when she found out that she had an ultrasound and found out that he was likely going to have Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And it was presented like, oh, all right, well, that's a bummer. You want to get something on the books to take care of this problem? As if it was a threat to her kingdom rather than like the thing that's going to give her the most joy in her 50s and 60s. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a really, I think that's a really powerful testimony and example of a lot of things, but and it does apply to what we're talking about of what are we and even just what we're able to observe from, like, that is a personal anecdote, right? Mm-hmm. But I think, many people have seen things like it's a fairly common one, I think, in the sense that of families with Down syndrome kids, like, I think there's a lot of similar testimonies out there.
Yep.
And it's that's one of many things that's a testament to this fact that, like, there is more than just matter. Like, there is more to being a human than just optimizing our genetic material and trying to propagate our species and trying to, just be the best animals we can be.
Right. And I think everybody that espouses, not everybody, but most people that espouse that ideology are being dishonest with themselves, because how many of these people are truly trying their hardest to be the most contributive member of their circles? like most people are very happy with their video games and chilling and having mom make them grilled cheese sandwiches.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm just saying, like, I don't buy that philosophy for so many reasons, but that's definitely one of them. Is like, okay, yeah, so you're saying that people their value is judged on what they can contribute to society. What are you contributing, dude? Like, when was the last time you did anything meaningful? Like this whole, like, we got to get in the workforce and we got to do the rat race and work for 40 years and retire on a beach. Right. And it's like, okay, what did that do for anybody?
Right.
Like, you added some money into the economy. Like, that's your legacy.
Yeah. No,
and it's not to shame hard work, obviously, but I'm just saying, like,
no, I totally, and
if you believe that that's the sum total of a man, it's like, how much do you think you'll have contributed by the end of your life at the rate you're going? Like,
right. Well, what are you contributing to? And again, why? Yeah. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah. A lot of really good stuff. I'm encouraged. I'm glad I'm not just an animal. I'm glad.
You are a beast, though.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I guess.
You are too.
Thank you. I was waiting for that. Jeez, dude.
Sorry, bro. Well, cool. Anything else you want to add to the animal conversation for now?
No, other than, we say it occasionally on this podcast, but truly, if we're making authoritative claims about something, it's on the authority of the Bible, not on what we just think.
Yeah.
Right? So I think scriptures are very clear on this, and I think we've both laid out pretty well that we believe that we are made in the image of God.
Yeah.
And for those reasons, we think that we're not animals, and think we can derive a lot of hope and purpose out of that. And that's kind of where we're coming from.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. Well, go forth and be human men, not animals.
Therefore, his poverty that hangs his head and all that. The coward slave, we pass him by. We dare be poor for all that. For all that and all that. Our toils obscure and all that. The rank is but the guineas stand. The man's the God for all that. But though unhamely fair we die, we're old and grey and all that. wine. A man's a man for all that and all that. The tinsel show and all that. The honest man, though we're so poor, is king of men for all that. You see on the geek how the Lord was struts and stares and all that. Though hundreds worship at his word, he's but a coon.